Jennifer woke up immediately after she had a very strange nightmare in which she found herself in a strange village being chased around by a madman holding a very sharp cutlass. She quickly picked up her Bible, which she kept by the side of her bed, and knelt down to pray. It won't be the first time she would be having such a dream, and all the dreams were the same. In each dream, she would find herself running around a village while being chased by a madman with a very sharp cutlass. But this time, the dream was different because in the other dreams she always escaped. But in the recent dream, the madman caught up to her and hacked her with the cutlass before she suddenly woke up. Jennifer was very scared. With her hands trembling, she picked up her Bible by the side of her bed and knelt down to pray. But as soon as she knelt down, she suddenly felt a sharp, unbearable pain in her abdomen. Jennifer fell to the ground, holding her abdomen and screaming in pain. Her roommate, Adamne, who was previously sleeping, quickly woke up on hearing Jennifer screaming. She rushed towards Jennifer where she lay on the floor, asking her what was wrong. But Jennifer couldn't say anything because she was in serious pains. Adamne helped her up and quickly rushed her to the nearest hospital. When they got to the hospital, the doctor was not around, so one of the nurses quickly admitted her into one of the wards and gave her an injection to stabilize her and help her ease the pain. Then the nurses quickly called on the doctor who was on duty that day. When Jennifer had been stabilized, the nurses came to meet her once again and asked, "What is your name and how are you feeling now?" "My name is Jennifer. It's Jennifer," Jennifer said amidst groans of pain. "Can you tell me what happened and touch where exactly you are feeling the pain?" the nurse said. Jennifer was in too much pain to say anything, so she used her hand to touch her lower abdomen, just above her sensitive area. Dear, oh," Jennifer said, still wincing in pain despite the drug she was given. The nurse pressed down her lower abdomen to see if Jennifer would react, but Jennifer remained in her state of pain. Then she asked Jennifer to spread open her legs so she would inspect her sensitive area. When Jennifer lifted up her legs, the nurse lifted her skirt, and what she saw shocked her to the bones. It was nothing like she had ever seen before in her life since she started working as a nurse. Immediately, she excused herself and rushed to the restroom to vomit, breathing very hard and fast. The sight of what she saw was so bizarre and traumatizing. Suddenly, a car drove into the hospital park and the doctor in charge came out of the car and rushed into the hospital. When she entered the hospital, she saw Adamne, Jennifer's friend, seated at the waiting area, looking restless and mumbling some words which showed that she was praying. Then she saw two other nurses standing at a corner of the hospital, gossiping about Jennifer, who was just brought in, ignorant that the doctor had arrived. "I'm very sure that he tried to abort pregnancy using the wrong drugs. Now look at what she has done to herself. Young girls of nowadays," the second nurse said, "their waywardness is too much. Serves her right. Next time, she would learn to do the right thing." Immediately they sighted the doctor coming close to them. They stopped their conversation. "Good evening, ma," they both said in unison. "Where is the patient that was brought in? What ward was she taken to?" The nurses pointed in the direction of the ward, and the doctor quickly rushed to the ward. As she was headed there, she saw the nurse who had examined Jennifer coming out of the ward. The nurse was very happy to see the doctor, but her facial expression showed that there was trouble. When the doctor entered the ward, she saw that Jennifer was in severe pain, so she approached Jennifer calmly after confirming her name from the nurse. "My name is Amarachi. I am the doctor in charge. Be rest assured that I can do whatever it takes to help you." Her words sounded like healing balm to Jennifer. Her voice was also very calm and soothing. The doctor asked Jennifer to open her legs once again and took a look at her sensitive area. Unlike the previous nurse, who was deeply troubled by what she saw, Dr. Amarachi was calm and maintained her composure, although what she saw scared her deeply. There were many tiny creatures in her sensitive area, and it was stained with a lot of black thick blood. It appeared as though the tiny creatures were feeding on the blood from her sensitive area. It was a sight that was scary to behold. Amarachi quickly administered a drug for Jennifer which made her unconscious. Then she took some pictures and started cleaning her sensitive area with methylated spirits and the right medical tools. When Amarachi was done with cleaning Jennifer up, she went into her office looking very confused. This would be the first time she would ever see something so scary. She had witnessed a lot of terrible medical conditions, but nothing was as unusual and as scary as Jennifer's condition. She opened her computer and started making some research in order to find clues to what the problem could be. Jennifer's case was unlike anything she had ever seen before. After seeking furtively for answers, she decided to wait for Jennifer to wake up, in hope that she would find some clues from Jennifer. She took some blood from Jennifer and ran a lot of tests while she was asleep, but the test results showed that Jennifer was perfectly healthy. About an hour later, Jennifer regained consciousness, but fortunately, the pain she felt had seriously reduced. Dr. Amarachi went to meet Jennifer and sat down beside her hospital bed. Once again, she introduced herself as Dr. Amarachi and showed Jennifer the picture she had previously taken. Immediately Jennifer saw the picture, she gasped in shock and started crying. Dr. Amarachi tried to console her and assured her that she would do everything within her power to cure her illness. But first, she needed to ask Jennifer some questions. When did you start having this sharp pain in your abdomen? Jennifer thought for a while and answered, Since the past 1 week, I always feel pain at night, whenever I wake up after having a terrible and scary dream. Jennifer's words piqued Amarachi's interest the more. Amarachi was a Christian, but she didn't believe in the supernatural. She was a firm believer of science and its method. She strongly believed that the spiritual realm was a myth which was fabricated to deceive unsuspecting people. But she was very curious to know more about Jennifer's predicament because it was unlike anything she had witnessed before. A terrible and scary dream? Please, tell me about this dream. Amarachi said and eased herself properly onto the bed to give Jennifer her complete attention. Jennifer heaved a deep sigh and told Amarachi, The dream started 6 days ago and it felt so real, as though it was physical. I would always find myself in a strange village that I have never been to. When I start walking around the village, a madman will see me and start chasing me with a cutlass. I would run and run to evade him until I wake up, sweating and breathing very fast. Then I will feel a temporary sharp pain in my abdomen, which usually lasted a few minutes. But as time went on, the pain started getting more intense and more painful until last night. What happened last night? Dr. Amarachi asked. When I went to use the restroom last night, before I slept, I discovered that my urine was bloody with some black strange eggs within. But tonight, I had the dream again, and this time, the madman caught up to me and hacked me with the cutlass before I woke up. Amarachi listened with rapt attention to Jennifer's words, but she was very confused. She couldn't find a connection between a mere dream and her health. After thinking for a while, Amarachi considered the possibility that it could be a sexually transmitted disease. So she asked Jennifer, Are you sexually active? When was the last time you had an intercourse? Jennifer thought for a while and answered, My last intercourse was 7 days ago, but I made sure he used protection. How is that related to the problem at hand? Before Amarachi could explain why she asked the question, Jennifer held her abdomen once again and started wincing in serious pain. Amarachi quickly told her to lie down and open her leg once again. When Amarachi lifted her clothes and took a look at Jennifer's sensitive region, she was shocked to see that the little creatures and the blood she has previously cleaned had appeared again, and this time there was even more. She gave Jennifer another sedative and took care of the situation once again. By this time, Amarachi was determined to get to the bottom of the situation. She placed a call across to her godfather, who was also a professional in the medical field, and explained the situation to him, after sending him pictures that she took of Jennifer's sensitive area. After she had explained Jennifer's case and dream to him and her last intercourse, her godfather told her to ask more questions about the man she slept with. He would be the key to solving this mystery, her godfather said before hanging up the call. When Jennifer regained consciousness this time, she felt very weak and exhausted. Her eyes were becoming pale and her skin was gradually becoming white. Her body condition bothered Dr. Amarachi a lot, and she was fully convinced that Jennifer's health condition wasn't a normal one. She told Jennifer that she had made some consultations and she needed to know more about her last intercourse. Jennifer heaved a deep sigh, knowing that she had no choice but to tell the doctor everything. Then she started narrating everything to Amarachi. Some months ago, I met a young handsome man called Chima, who claimed that he loved me with all his heart and would like me to be his girlfriend. I was already in a relationship, so I declined his offer. However, it didn't stop him from persisting. He told me he was ready to do anything to convince me that he truly loved me. He appeared to be very wealthy and would often buy and send gifts at my place of work. After 2 months, Chima was still persistent and determined to prove to me that he loved me, but I refused to give in. I told my friend Adami about him, but to my greatest surprise, Adami asked me to reconsider giving him a chance, despite the fact that she knew I was in a serious relationship. However, I refused to take her advice. But 1 month ago, I got a call from my mother that my father was seriously ill and needed an urgent surgery, which would cost a lot of money. I reached out to my boyfriend, but he told me that he had no money at the moment, and my boss at work declined my request to get a salary advance. I was greatly depressed and desperate to save my father's life. That was when Adami convinced me once again to consider reaching out to Chima, since I had no other choice. After thinking for a while, I decided to reach out to Chima for assistance. Chima was very happy to receive my call. He fixed an appointment and we met 2 weeks ago. When we met, I told him about my father's health and pleaded with him to help me out with a loan. However, Chima said he cannot give me a loan. He told me he loved me, so he would give me the money. However, I had to sleep with him first. I was deeply disappointed with his request and I wanted to walk away, but he promised to give me 3 times the money I was looking for. This offer was very tempting, but I still walked away in anger that day. When I got home, I told Adami about what happened and she surprisingly told me it's not a big deal. You need this money, she said. He's also offering you 3 times the needed amount. Think about what you could do with all that money. It's just 1 night and it's not as if you're a virgin, so tell him to use protection and you're good to go. I foolishly thought about what Adami said and decided to do as Chima asked. I placed the call across to him and he gave directions to a hotel to meet him. He slept with me that night and gave me the money just as he had promised. But ever since then, Chima changed towards me. He stopped calling me and sending me texts as always, and he would hardly pick up whenever I called him. I wasn't bothered though, because I had already gotten the money from him. But 1 week later, I started having these strange dreams which ultimately led to where I am right now. Amachi listened to Jennifer's story carefully, but she felt that something wasn't adding up. So she asked Jennifer, "Was there anything unusual about the intercourse you had with him?" Jennifer thought deep and hard for a while, and she suddenly said, "Yes. I noticed that the bathroom of the hotel we used didn't have a running water supply, so Chima gave me a white clean lining to clean myself with. Is it unhealthy to use a cloth to clean up?" Jennifer asked, confused, failing to realize the gravity of her actions. Amachi bowed her head in shame. She had once heard a similar story where a young man used a white handkerchief to clean the sensitive area of his girlfriend, only for his girlfriend to die some days later, while the young man became extremely rich after her death. Amachi, who didn't believe in the supernatural, was now gradually turning into a believer. She assured Jennifer that everything would be alright. Then she placed a call across to her pastor in the church and explained the situation to him. In less than 30 minutes, her pastor arrived at the hospital and joined the ladies. When they were together, he introduced himself as Pastor Samuel, and together they had a short prayer. After the short prayer, Pastor Samuel told Jennifer that he had a revelation when they were praying. He said, "The madman chasing you in the dream is Chima, the man you slept with. He used you to renew his rituals for wealth. You were supposed to die a week ago, but you are still alive because of your closeness to God. That is why he was unable to kill you in your dreams all this while. However, the fact that he caught up with you in your last dream means that you don't have much time to live anymore. He has already gotten what he wanted. I am also sorry to tell you that your friend Adami is involved in your predicament." Jennifer became very confused. Adami was her roommate, and they both cared about each other deeply. They also graduated from the same school, so she found it difficult to believe that Adami would intentionally wish her death. She requested to see Adami, and she was called into the ward. "Please tell me you are innocent of the accusation. Did you know that Chima is the reason for my predicament?" Adami pretended to be shocked at Jennifer's question, but her eyes betrayed her. "I'm sorry, Jennifer. I had no idea this would happen to you. Chima offered me a lot of money to convince you to sleep with him. The money was so tempting and I was broke. I had no choice to accept. Please forgive me." "So you knew you never loved me? That his end game was to sleep with me and you helped him?" Adama went on her knees and started pleading with Jennifer to forgive her. "I had no idea that this would happen. I only suspected at first when you started screaming his name in your dreams whenever you were sleeping. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you. Please forgive me." Pastor Samuel saw the tension between the two friends and advised Jennifer to forgive her friend. The main goal now is finding a solution to the problem and not pointing fingers at who is guilty or not, he said. Suddenly, Jennifer started screaming in pain once more and held her abdomen, but this time she was bleeding in her nose and ears. Pastor Samuel quickly brought out an anointed oil and instructed Dr. Marachi to rub it on her sensitive area after cleaning her up for the third time. Then he started praying fervently for Jennifer. Adami joined in the prayers, and even Dr. Amarachi, who was doubting before, also joined in the prayers. As they were praying, Jennifer continued wincing in pain. It was as if the pain was getting more intense as they prayed harder. Suddenly, the lights in the hospital went off and a strong wind started blowing inside the hospital ward. scattering all the paperwork and destroying some of the hospital equipment. The whole world was a mess. Dr. Moachi and Adanne wanted to run, but Pastor Samuel told them to remain calm and continue praying, so they listened to him and overcame their fear. As they continued praying despite the scary occurrences, a man and woman dressed in red gown appeared inside the hospital ward and started laughing hysterically like witches. Then they pointed their hand at Jennifer, who was still shaking in pain on the bed, and said, "Stop meddling in our affairs. This woman is ours and there's nothing you can do to save her. She has been sacrificed already and it's only a matter of time until she dies." Dr. Moachi was petrified and Adanne was even more terrified. They quickly ran to hide behind Pastor Samuel, who turned to face the strange people. Then he told them, "She's not yours. She's the daughter of the living God. In the name above all names, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you and cast you back to where you came from." The man and woman started vibrating and shaking. Suddenly they started screaming and eventually disappeared. Immediately they disappeared, the atmosphere in the hospital became calm and lights came back on. Jennifer, who was previously in pain, stopped holding her abdomen and sat up. The pain left her completely and she felt very okay. Dr. Moachi checked her sensitive area and was surprised to see that it was normal, as if nothing of sort was ever there in the first place. Together, they started singing songs of praises and worship. They thanked Pastor Samuel for coming to their rescue and also appreciated Dr. Moachi for her assistance and for thinking outside the confinement of scientific boundaries. Jennifer slept at the hospital that night and woke up peacefully the next morning without having any nightmares or feeling any pains. Afterwards, she was discharged and left the hospital with Adanne. On their way back home, they saw a madman on the street with people gathered around him. When they looked closer at him, they discovered that it was Chima, the man who tried to kill Jennifer for his selfish gain. His luxurious car was parked by the roadside and he was seen eating rubbish at a waste bin. The driver of the car which they boarded shook his head in shame as he drove past, saying, "Young men of nowadays, always in a hurry to make quick wealth without hard work. Things will always end badly for them." From that day henceforth, Jennifer and Adanne gave their lives to God totally and took the things of God very serious. However, trust was broken and Jennifer could no longer bring herself to trust Adanne completely again. The moral lesson of this story reminds us to be mindful of the friends that we keep. Trust should be a major factor in every relationship and friendship. Make sure that you only keep friends who are trustworthy and bound to remain loyal to you no matter the situation. Always be open to new possibilities beyond the scope of your limitations. There is more to the world than meets the eye. If someone is offering you so much money for something you feel isn't as serious or important, then it means that there is definitely an ulterior motive behind the transaction. Some dreams are signs and warnings. Don't dismiss them easily. Trust is like an egg. Once it is broken, it is almost impossible to fix or mend it perfectly. So no matter what you do in life, do not try to break the trust of someone who trusts you deeply. Every day is for the thief and one day is for the owner. You may always get away with using innocent people for rituals, but your end would come sooner than later, so it is best to never start at all than to meet a shameful end.
Once upon a time, in a city called Idede, there lived two beautiful women called Ngozi and Nneka, who were best of friends right from childhood. They did almost everything together, and people often regarded them as sisters. But after they finished the university, both of them were posted to different states for their NYSC, so they lost each other's contacts. After their NYSC, Ngozi was fortunate to get married to a very handsome and compassionate man called Emeka, who loved and deeply adored her. However, Emeka wasn't very wealthy. He had just finished school and was still trying to find his feet. But Ngozi didn't care about what he had. She got a job and was willing to support him. Nneka, on the other hand, got married to a very wealthy and famous man called Chuka, who had companies all over town. Not because she loved him, but because of his wealth. Her husband provided her with everything that she wanted. But unlike Ngozi's husband, who was caring and compassionate, Nneka's husband was a woman beater and a serial womanizer. He treated Nneka without regard or respect, and this made Nneka very sad, even though she could buy anything she wanted. Many years later, Ngozi's husband got a contract from the government and he became very wealthy. He built his own house and bought a car for himself and his wife. One fateful evening, he told Ngozi, "Sweetheart, I don't want you to work anymore. You have suffered and endured with me over the years, and now that I am wealthy, I want you to stay home and look after the kids, since I now can make enough money to take care of you and the children." Ngozi was very happy. She hugged her husband and thanked him for his love and care. The next day, she quit her job and started staying at home to look after the children. The couple were blessed with 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Emeka also placed his wife on a monthly allowance so she doesn't lack anything. 1 month later, Ngozi was at the supermarket with her children buying some groceries when she saw Nneka, her old best friend. The 2 women were so excited to finally meet each other once again. They had a lot of things to talk about. Ngozi introduced her children to Nneka and invited Nneka to her house. They both exchanged contacts at the supermarket and fixed a date which Nneka would visit. When Nneka finally visited Ngozi, she was very amazed at how beautiful and amazing her house looked. "Your house is very big and beautiful. Your husband must be very wealthy." Ngozi smiled at her compliment and replied, "Yes, my husband is a blessing to me. He's very compassionate, handsome, and caring to me and the children. He's God sent. He pampers me a lot, like a baby." "Really? But I heard that no man is perfect. There must be something that he is lacking." "Something like what?" Ngozi asked out of curiosity. "Is he good in bed? Can he perform very well?" Ngozi let out a very loud laugh and replied, "He's a horse in the bedroom. He is complete in all ramifications." While they were still talking, Ngozi's phone rang. It was her husband, Emeka. He called to tell her to get a beautiful red gown because he wants to take her out that night. After the call ended, Ngozi told Nneka what her husband said and began to tell Nneka how lucky she was to marry Emeka. The more she told Nneka about her husband, the more envious and jealous Nneka became. Over the years, Nneka's husband went bankrupt and his companies were taken by the bank, so she was living in penury. But she didn't reveal this to Ngozi. She lied that her husband was also very wealthy and doing very well for himself. When Nneka got home, she started thinking of ways to destroy her friend's home and steal her husband for herself. Emeka fitted the description of her type of man, and she was determined to do everything to get him to herself. The next time Nneka visited Ngozi, she started giving Ngozi bad advice. Tell your husband that you would like to start your own business. Tell him you don't want to be a sit-at-home wife anymore. Ngozi didn't understand why Nneka was giving her such advice. She explained to Nneka that her husband doesn't want her to work because of how she had supported him in the past when he had nothing. But Nneka told him that Emeka was lying to her. I know men. The only reason he wants you to be at home is because he wants to keep you under his control. He knows that once you start making your own money, you'll become independent and he won't be able to control you anymore. Or maybe he's cheating on you and he doesn't want you to see him with the woman one day. Ngozi trusted Emeka with all her heart. But the words of her best friend started bringing doubt to her mind. She started asking herself if Emeka was cheating on her and if that was the reason why he didn't want her to work. It is very possible that he even has another family somewhere. If you doubt me, tell him to open a business for you and his reaction will convince you that I'm saying the truth. Ngozi foolishly believed Nneka. When her husband returned home that day, they were on the bed when Ngozi asked him, "My love, I want to start a business of my own. Can you open a supermarket for me?" Emeka became confused by her request. He wondered why Ngozi would bring up a topic that they had already concluded on. "Why do you need a supermarket? Are you lacking anything? Or do you want me to increase your monthly allowance? I don't mind." "No, it's not about that. I just need to have a business of my own so I can stop staying at home all the time." "But you are a mother and we have 4 children. I needed you to stay at home so you can take proper care of them without being distracted. That's why I need you to always be at home, so they would have your complete attention. Why do you need to work when I have enough money to take care of everything?" But no matter what Emeka said, Ngozi insisted that she wanted a supermarket of her own. The conversation ended in an argument, and they both went to bed having a dispute. Emeka could not understand why Ngozi changed all of a sudden. He started to assume that she must be cheating on him and needed an excuse to meet her lover outside the house. But he quickly discarded the thoughts before it would break the trust he had in his wife. When Emeka went to work the next day, Nneka visited Ngozi once again, and Ngozi told her all that happened with her husband the previous night. Nneka became very happy in her mind because her plan was working. She told Ngozi, "Do you believe me now? If he's as wealthy as you claimed, why is he refusing to open a supermarket for you? How much would it cost to open a business for you? I told you he's cheating on you and he doesn't want you to be independent. I would advise you to go against his instructions." "How?" Nneka continued, "You don't need his permission to establish yourself. Save up your monthly allowance and start a business of your own. You are too beautiful to always stay at home like a slave or a maid." Ngozi foolishly listened to Nneka. She started saving up her monthly allowance, and in 3 months, she had enough money to start up a small business. During this period, Chuka, Nneka's husband, had divorced her because of her frequent nagging and insults. Chuka no longer had rest of mind, nor peace in his own house. Nneka would always ridicule and mock him in front of their children, calling him lazy and jobless. Their house became a battlefield where the couple fought every single minute of the day in the presence of their children. Chuka decided that it was best they went their separate ways. So Nneka was very desperate on destroying Ngozi's home. She wanted Ngozi to be sad and unhappy just like her. She was determined to either destroy Ngozi's home or steal her husband, so she hid the fact that she was no longer married from Ngozi. When Emeka discovered that Ngozi had started a small business without his approval, he became very sad and unhappy. He tried to talk Ngozi out of it, but Ngozi was stubborn. She chose to listen to Nneka instead of her husband.
Her business started moving and she started making good profits. She focused more on her business and no longer had time for her children and her husband. Many times, Emeka would be called when he was at work to quickly come to his children's school and pick them because the school closed many hours ago and Ngozi didn't come to pick the children up. Ngozi stopped cooking at home and would often order food outside for the children and her husband because she didn't have time to enter the kitchen. She didn't wash the children's clothes or look after them anymore. She couldn't balance between her business and her home life properly. She even started coming home very late because the business was moving very fine and she needed to spend longer hours outside. Emeka would return home from work and find the children sleeping on the couch inside the living room, hungry and without food. Most nights, when Emeka wanted to touch Ngozi, she would refuse to let him have his way. She would tell him that she is very tired and wanted to sleep and rest. Nneka would always visit Ngozi at her shop, giving her more bad advice that would destroy her home, and Ngozi would foolishly listen to them. When Emeka realized that Ngozi no longer had time for chores at home on the children, he decided to employ a maid to always help out at home. After Emeka employed the maid, Ngozi focused completely on her business and friendship with Nneka. She totally stopped giving her children and her husband attention because she was now making good money, and she stopped respecting her husband. The marriage started breaking down and Emeka was no longer happy with Ngozi because of how much she had changed. One fateful evening, he was on his way home from work when he saw Nneka by the roadside, waving his car down. Unknown to him, Nneka was his wife's best friend. Emeka stopped by the roadside and Nneka pretended that she was robbed at gunpoint and that her car and valuables were stolen. Emeka felt pity on Nneka. He took her in his car and as they drove home, they started talking. Emeka, who had been starved of attention ever since Ngozi started her business, so he was very eager to talk with Nneka. She seemed like a good listener, and Emeka enjoyed their conversation. They both exchanged contacts and started communicating over the phone without Ngozi's knowledge. After work every evening, Emeka would hang out with Nneka because he knew that Ngozi wouldn't be at home when he arrives. He started keeping late nights just like his wife and hardly spent time at home with the children. The maid was now in charge of bathing the kids, clothing, feeding them, and taking them to school, and even tucking them into bed at night. One day, Emeka couldn't hide his pain anymore. He opened up to Nneka while they were discussing. "I'm not happy with my marriage anymore. My wife has totally changed towards me and the children. I don't know what to do. I don't know what went wrong or why she changed suddenly." Nneka smiled in her heart because her plan was working perfectly. She asked Emeka, "Are you sure she's not seeing someone else? Maybe she's cheating on you. My father used to say, if a woman or man doesn't give you the attention anymore, then it means they are giving it to someone else." Nneka's words pierced Emeka's heart like a dagger. A lot of bad thoughts started running through his mind, but he loved and trusted Ngozi so much. "My wife is not like that. I trust her with my life. She would never betray me or go out with someone else." If that is what you think, then I will find proof that she's really cheating on you. Please, give me her picture and details. I would get close to her and find out the truth. Emeka laughed at Nneka. He knew that Ngozi didn't have time for her family anymore, but he was very sure that Ngozi would never cheat on him. So he sent Nneka his wife's picture and her contact details. However, the more time they spent with each other,
the more attracted Emeka started becoming towards Nneka, because she was always there to keep him company and gave him her full attention. Unlike his wife, Ngozi, who was only focused on her business. The next day, Nneka thought of a plan and went to see Ngozi at her shop. She lied to Ngozi that there was a client who needed her services and was ready to offer her a multi-million naira contract. Ngozi was very happy about the news and began to ask Nneka how she could meet the client. Nneka lied to her that the client would be coming from a different country and would lodge in a very popular hotel, but she would accompany Ngozi to go and see the man at the hotel when he arrived. 1 week later, Nneka called Ngozi and informed her that the client was in the country and wanted them to meet. Ngozi and Nneka went to the hotel together to meet the client at the hotel's restaurant. When they got there, the client was nowhere to be found. So Nneka insisted that they order drinks while they waited for him to show up. Unknown to Ngozi, it was a plan by Nneka to break her husband's trust. When Ngozi wasn't looking, Nneka drugged her drink. As they both waited and continued drinking, Ngozi started feeling dizzy and wasn't conscious about her surroundings anymore. When Nneka saw that the drugs had started taking effect, she quickly booked a room in the hotel and took Ngozi inside the room. Then she placed a call to a man who she had previously planned with to implicate Ngozi. The man showed up at the hotel and laid on the bed with Ngozi, who was half asleep. He removed her clothes and placed her head on his chest. Then Nneka took pictures of both of them and sent them to her husband Emeka. Immediately Emeka saw the pictures. He quickly called Nneka. "What's going on? Who is that man that is with my wife?" Emeka asked in a shaky voice. Nneka laughed in her heart and replied to Emeka, "I told you that your wife is cheating on you. That is why she doesn't have time for you and the children. That man is our secret lover. They are currently in room 267 at Gideon's Hotel. I'd advise you to go there as soon as possible before they leave." Emeka thanked Nneka and drove as fast as he could to the hotel. When he got to the room, the door was not locked, so he barged into the room and saw his wife and the strange man on the bed. Ngozi was still half asleep and wasn't aware of anything that was happening. The strange man screamed at Emeka, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" Emeka broke down in tears and walked away. He felt betrayed and very hurt. He never imagined that Ngozi would ever cheat on him because he married her as a virgin. When Emeka left the hotel, he called Nneka and started crying to her, telling her what he saw in the hotel room. "I told you she was cheating on you, but you didn't believe me. I'm very sorry, my dear. She doesn't deserve a man like you. Come and meet me at home. Let's talk." Nneka convinced Emeka to come to her house, and he did. When he got there, he was deeply heartbroken and very vulnerable. Nneka held him close to herself and started telling him negative things about Ngozi. "That woman doesn't deserve you. She's nothing but a prostitute. After everything that you've done for her, she still had the mind to betray you. You deserve better, Emeka." As she was talking, she kissed Emeka on the lips. Emeka wanted to refuse, but when he remembered what he saw in the hotel room, he decided to kiss Nneka back. He felt there was no need to be faithful to Ngozi since she was cheating on him. Nneka lured Emeka to sleep with her, and after they had finished sleeping with each other, Emeka started feeling guilty. But Nneka tried to corrupt his mind the more against Ngozi. "How are you sure that the children are yours? What if the children belong to someone else? Maybe that is why she was disturbing you to start a business for her, so she can always be with him. I love you, Emeka, I would never betray you. You are the man of my dreams. Nneka succeeded in convincing Emeka into believing that Ngozi was a serial cheater and pleaded with Emeka to divorce Ngozi so she can move into his life. She showed Emeka more fabricated pictures of Ngozi and the strange man to further convince him, and Emeka believed her. The next day was a Sunday. When Emeka got home, he suddenly became angry when he saw Ngozi at home. He went inside their matrimonial room and started packing their things outside. Ngozi didn't understand what was happening. She followed Emeka behind, trying to ask him what was happening. "Sweetheart, what are you doing? Why are you taking my things out?" But Emeka didn't answer her. He continued taking her things out. The children started crying and the maid tried to keep them calm. When Emeka was done packing out her things and that of the children, he opened her phone and showed her the pictures that Nneka sent of Ngozi and the strange man. Ngozi became very shocked. She went on her knees and began begging Emeka. "Sweetheart, it's not what you think. I was set up. I went there with my best friend to meet a client and I don't know how I ended up on that bed. Please believe me." But Emeka refused to hear anything that she had to say. "Which best friend? I have never heard of you having any best friend in this city ever since we married." He sent Ngozi and the children away from his house and warned the security guard never to let them inside the premises. Ngozi became heartbroken. She tried to call Nneka, but her phone wasn't connecting. She felt lost and helpless, but with the little savings she had, she rented an apartment for herself and the children. Ngozi continued her business and employed a maid to take care of the kids while she focused on her business. One fateful night, there was an electrical fault in Ngozi's shop, and it resulted in a fire outbreak and burnt down Ngozi's shop and all her merchandise. When Ngozi came to the shop in the morning, she couldn't believe her eyes. All her goods had been burned to ashes and there was nothing left for her. Ngozi broke down in tears because she had no money. She had recently restocked her shop and she had little money remaining with her. She became confused and didn't know what to do. At the end of that month, the maid she employed resigned because Ngozi didn't have the money to pay her and the children also dropped out of school. Ngozi became very depressed and frustrated. She didn't know what to do or who to run to. She started transferring her aggression to her children, blaming them for her misfortune and predicament, and started maltreating them and treating them like slaves. Ngozi was fortunate to start a pure water business. She would send her kids to hawk pure water on the road and streets while she stayed at home doing nothing. Meanwhile, Nneka moved in with Emeka and started living with him. However, it didn't take long before Nneka started to show her true colors. She was a reckless spender and disrespected Emeka a lot. At every slight issue, Nneka would engage Emeka in a fight. She made life a living hell for him just as she did to her previous husband. One fateful day, Emeka had a lot of work to do at the office, so he returned home very late. When he got home, he met Nneka in the sitting room waiting for him. Immediately she saw him. She jumped on him and started calling him names. "You cheat! You liar! You betrayer! Where are you coming from by this time of the night? You have started seeing someone else, Abi? I am no longer enough for you. Are you going to chase me away the way you sent your other wife away?" Emeka tried to stop her and warned her to stop insulting him, but she refused. Instead, she increased her voice and continued shouting and mocking him. Emeka pushed her out of his way in anger, and Nneka fell to the floor. She quickly ran to the kitchen and picked up a pestle and she ran back to the living room and struck the pestle on Emeka's head. Emeka fell to the ground and fainted, with blood gushing out of his head. The security man in his compound saw what happened and quickly rushed Emeka to the hospital to get treated. While Emeka was in the hospital getting treated, one of Ngozi's children, who was hawking pure water on the road, was run down by a reckless driver. Ngozi was quickly informed and the child was rushed to the hospital. Coincidentally, the hospital which the child was taken in for treatment was the same hospital that Emeka was being treated in. After they finished treating the child, Emeka was being discharged at the same time. Emeka, Ngozi and Nneka met each other in the hospital hall. Ngozi was shocked to see her husband with Nneka, and Emeka was also shocked when he found out that Nneka and Ngozi knew each other. Nneka, where have you been? What are you doing here? Ngozi asked, surprised. Nneka was ashamed to answer the questions in front of Emeka. She wanted to walk away, but Emeka held her hand and asked her, "How did my wife get to know you?" Ngozi explained to Emeka that Nneka was her best friend, but she suddenly disappeared when he sent her out of the house. Emeka felt disappointed and ashamed of himself for letting Nneka come in between him and his wife. He found out that Ngozi changed because she was listening to the counsel of Nneka. The both of them apologized to each other and Nneka walked out of the hospital in shame. Their child was treated properly and they all went back home and lived happily ever after. The moral lesson of this story reminds us to be careful about the details we give to third party about our home and family, no matter how close you may be to them. Not all friends are to be trusted. Some are selfish and only come to destroy what you have or reduce you to their level. Thank you for watching this wonderful story. Please like, comment and share this story with your loved ones if you really enjoyed it. See you in our next video. Bye bye.